Good day, everybody. Elimination Chamber from Perth, Australia is in the books, ladies and gents. Rhea Ripley retains the Women's World Championship against Nia Jax in the main event in her home country of Australia. Becky Lynch and Drew McIntyre win the Elimination Chamber matches, therefore will be in World Championship matches at WrestleMania 40. But without further ado, myself and Enick Steve are in the house, and we're going to be talking Elimination Chamber. So, Enick Steve, welcome to the show. How are you doing? And what was your overall thoughts of Elimination Chamber 2024?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on again, as usual. So it feels like second home being on this channel now. But aside from that Elimination Chamber, it was nice the fact that I got up at 9 o'clock in the morning and the show started at 10, and I got to watch it. And it went on for a while, though. I felt this show was unnecessarily long for 4 matches, but aside from that, it was enjoyable. Like, I can't really go much higher than that, really. Like, a lot of predicted results, not too many shocks, not too many spoilers. It was what I kind of expected for a show that's in Australia. It was kind of like a safe pay-per-view, really. Nothing really unusual happened on it.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that philosophy there. I mean, for me, I thought the in-ring action was very good. I enjoyed pretty much all the matches to a certain degree. We'll be breaking them down in a couple of moments' time. But like you said, that the show is unnecessarily 3.5 hours long for 4 matches. Just seem a little bit overkill. There's a lot of advertisements for Australia, which is great to see. However, I would say that a lot of filler. I know there's the Peacock adverts and stuff like that, but I found myself twiddling my thumbs quite a lot in between matches, so that wasn't necessarily a good part. But apart from that, I did think it was a very good show.
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, we literally had the Rumble just over a month ago that had 2-hour-long matches on it, and that was only 3.5 hours. So yeah, I find it really strange. Like, I gathered this was just used as a giant advertisement board to advertise people to come travel and visit Australia, really, because I noticed that after a while that it just seemed to be constant visit this part of the country, visit that part of the country, which is cool. I understand it's probably part of the deal, but yeah, it does slightly damper my spirits in for the fact that it got to like 12:30, and I'm like, or for like 12:30 my time, and I'm like, wow, I'm really expecting this show to be over yet, and we ain't even got, like, we've only just started the men's chamber match. So but yeah, otherwise that, yeah, it was entertaining. I can agree with that. I enjoyed it. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just kind of like I said before, just a safe pay-per-view.
Actually felt sorry for people in the States, believe it or not, who actually were waking up the usual times. We'd have to watch these shows to have a lot of the filler in between. But I will say, they did tempt me for Perth, Australia, for all around Australia. It looked a very beautiful place indeed. And of course, the crowd were wild as well. Love the look of the Optus Stadium, I should say, rather than less. 52,000 packed in-house was fantastic to see. And what was your favourite match on the show?
Hard one to call, really. I did really enjoy the tag team title match, but then I did enjoy both the chamber matches. So I think just for the sheer fact of that, I was looking forward to it most before. I'm going to say the tag team match, just because I think that was exceptional, and it's carrying on the quality of tag team wrestling that WWE have been putting on recently, even on like normal TV shows.
Absolutely indeed. I did think you'd be a fan of the tag team match. I thought it was a good one as well there. And got to say, for me, that I thought the women's chamber stole the show. I thought it was the better of the 2 chamber matches. Good, yeah. And I don't know, just was a hot start, hot crowd at the beginning of the night as well there. I thought it was really good. And, like we said, safe, predictable winners. But at the same time, I think that everyone did their job really well. And I like the way they built the match with there. I mean, obviously, particularly with the final 3, obviously with Becky, Liv, and Bianca, I thought was a really fun way to do that and a very clever way to finish the match. We'll be getting into that in a couple of minutes' time. But so just before we do, I will say hello to our chat quickly just before we go into that kickoff match that we did have, of course, between the Kabuki Warriors and, of course, the Way. Pierre was the first in the house. Says, hey, everyone, hope you're doing well, Pierre. Thank you for checking this out. Says, Mummy versus the Man is coming around to WrestleMania 14. Pierre also coming around to WrestleMania 14. It's going to be a big time match for that show. Kicking it with Leo in the house as well. Leo was on our predictions show, and great to see on the review as well. So it seems that everyone at WWE has an obsession with making Liv running up in a lot of matches. It's happened at the Rumble last year with Rhea, it happened with Bayley, and now with Becky at the Chamber. Runner-up, it almost seems to be always the bridesmaid, never the bride at this time for Liv Morgan, but I'm sure her opportunity will come. Big things hopefully will be on her way, still going into WrestleMania season. Pierre says that this show was predictable, sometimes predictable, can need some great shows. Hey, look, predictable is not necessarily a bad thing. I would actually argue to say 90% of wrestling is predictable, but if it's booked correctly, it's not a bad thing. That would be what I would say. I think a lot of the time we know a lot who the winners and losers are going to be. I think our record on the channel is pretty well, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But I would agree that it was safe, and I would say that maybe slightly a bit slow in places. Not the ring action itself, everything in between.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Kicking Leo says, his opinion, Liv Morgan got screwed, got done dirty again, how they ended the match. She just happened to eliminate Bianca Belair, which was a big elimination. However, she went straight into a manhandle slam, unfortunately for her. And did go on to say about Liv Morgan turning heel as well. But wouldn't be surprised if it happened on Raw. Attacks Becky Lynch, tries to injure her and goes after Rhea to demand a triple threat match for WrestleMania. It would be interesting if she was to go down that avenue. I think personally, Liv will look to can do a redemption story still. I think I said this on the prediction show, so Leo knows where I'm going to go with this already. I do believe the heel turn is on for Liv Morgan as well, always being the runner-up. Raquel, they were tag team champions when Rhea was going to take her out. They just lost those titles. I think that's what they'll go for again next. I think when they don't get the job done at Mania, I think Raquel was who was turned on first. And I think by that point, if we get like a big respect factor with Rhea and Becky at WrestleMania, and that can lead Rhea into the full, I suppose, face tween away. She's kind of a face away. Everyone likes Rhea Ripley as she's been booked as the babyface with the Nia Jax feud. I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of a tween a babyface Rhea Ripley versus a heel Liv Morgan going into the summertime. NXT, could you see that sort of going down still after what we've seen with this show?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the way they're going with the booking. Like Liv seems to have come back with a bit of an attitude problem, and I can see a heel turn coming for Liv. And I don't know, it depends on how they book it, how Judgment Day works itself out, because again, them still having the tag team titles, Priest still having that briefcase, are all kind of, do you know what I mean? The way they're acting is still heelish things. But yeah, like I agree with Leo. I can see him doing like just a mutual respect thing come main. I think you did, apologies, I don't use your Leo said it, but the mutual respect thing for obviously Rhea and Becky Lynch, depending on what the result is from that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm seeing like a role reversal where we have Rhea as their face and Liv as a heel is in a feud of some kind, maybe coming up to the summer. But I agree with what Leo said as well. It's always a shame to see Liv come as a runner-up, but I suppose she has just come back from an injury, and it's a bit unfair to throw her back in. Well, it's not. It depends on obviously momentum, really, but you can understand why that if it had been Becky out for 6-7 months injured, and it was Liv there in Becky's place, and they did it, you'd understand why they threw Becky in. That's what I don't know. It's just one of them weird booking scenarios, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully it just all comes good. I mean, now that we have one person booking creative for WWE, hopefully Liv gets a decent run, and we get some decent creative, and like we don't get that run that she ultimately had with that SmackDown title when she cashed in the Money in the Bank.
Absolutely. And of course, maybe Money in the Bank is the perfect time of when she could be in and around that mix once again, if it's not going to be in the road to WrestleMania this year from here on. Temple plays in the house. Temple, thank you for checking us out. Says Elimination Chamber, 7 out of 10, predictable, but everyone who should have won. We did need debuts or returns. We don't need that every show. So again, 7 out of 10 show. Fair enough. Short and sweet there from Temple. Thank you for giving us your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber. The Visionary, the Revolutionary versus the Chosen One is coming for WrestleMania 40. Bring back Broken Dreams at WrestleMania 40. Unfortunately, I don't think Drew will do that because we will like it, and Drew seems to be fully on the heel side now.
Absolutely, man. Broken Dreams is such a face thing now that it's not going to come back now for some time. But dude, it's just one of them things that for some reason, just until someone said it, everyone loved that tune, and then someone went, "Oh yeah, Broken Dreams is a banger," and everyone went, "You know what? You're right. Broken Dreams is a banger of a tune." So yeah, 100%. But again, I reckon it won't come back in there until he turns face. Even if he ever does it again, I think that they're too sold with this whole tune that he's currently got.
Absolutely, it does seem to be that way, unfortunately, at this moment. Zane says the Elimination Chamber matches were too predictable. Do you agree? We have said already we think it was a predictable flow, but we did enjoy the matches. Mike here says Becky versus Rhea is more of a money matchup than Liv versus Rhea. Have to agree with that for WrestleMania at this point. Like I say, Liv has been out as well. She can build herself up, hopefully, going forward after WrestleMania, totally being with a position this time next year at WrestleMania. She's just been unfortunate in the last 12 months of injuries. She's only been around for I think a couple of months out of the last 12. So it would be good for Liv to get that time, to get that momentum, to get in a position for next year. But Becky versus Rhea does feel like the money match of the two right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as well, like the fact that they've got Becky's obviously got a book coming out as well, which I know WWE will have some sort of input into trying to promote it as well. So obviously she's got that. Becky obviously being just in general the bigger star, because obviously over the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years that she's just managed to make a massive name for herself. And it's what sells, unfortunately. It's the same reason that over the last so many years, like last year when you had the tag team, you had KO and Sammy versus the Usos. It was just the bigger story and the bigger draw, unfortunately, than Rhea versus Charlotte. But like I thought, Rhea versus Charlotte was a killer match, and was probably, well, it was for me, was the best match on night one on Mania last year.
It was a fantastic match, to say the very least about it, and one that we may do a watch along for on the road to WrestleMania this year. Roger does ask, then we'll do this very quickly then, one or the other. Cody and Rock, one-on-one match, or is it a tag team match? Which one are you going for?
I think we get a one-on-one at SummerSlam.
Interesting. I think it'll be still the tag team match. I still think it'll be
WrestleMania.
I think that'll be what we are going to get. But we're going to leave the comments just for now. In the meantime, we're going to go into the bit of the review of the show, and then we're going to come into your comments as we go along. But we'll start off then with what was the kickoff match. We don't get those very often. Obviously, two things to mention about the kickoff. First off, the koala. Kevin Owens coming with the koala bear. I thought it was amazing. Social media seemed to love it as well. But obviously, we had the Kabuki Warriors versus The Way. Of course, Candice and Indi Hartwell. Very simple storytelling, but I thought was effective as well. Can we get the Aussie in the ring? Candice taking all the beat down till we get the hot tag. Indi managed to get her way into the match. Obviously, got to showcase herself for a few minutes in front of her home country, which of them going mad for her as well, which is great to see. Of course, the tag was done back out to Candice LeRae. Indi was assisting Candice on, like, I suppose, an old school Undertaker style before she was pulled from the ring apron, Indi Hartwell, which led to Candice crashing and burning. And before we knew it, a double team for the Kabuki Warriors, including the insane elbow from Kairi Sane, to see the Kabuki Warriors retain those tag team championships. Kind of the right result. I thought this was an appropriate one for a kickoff. Most of everything happy to see Indi Hartwell was on this show.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's just to please the crowd. It's one of them things to get them gassed before the start of the actual show. Again, a very a predictable match. If we'd have seen it on there, we all would have said Kabuki Warriors were going to retain. It's just one of them things. It's the same like that. I said in the predictions that I was expecting Bronson Reed to make an appearance, but congratulations to him. He now is a new father, so good luck to him. It's just a shame it didn't. It unfortunately just timed that coincidentally with the one time that they have a pay-per-view in Australia, but it's just the way the way things happen, unfortunately.
It is just the way things happen. But like he says now, he's not just big Bronson Reed, he's big Papa Bronson Reed. So congratulations to him as well. And yeah, absolutely, indeed. Maybe a little while before we see him back on WBTV, but certainly for good and right reasons as well. But going in then to the main show then, obviously we kicked off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And obviously, we saw the likes there kicking off of Becky Lynch versus Naomi to kick things off. And obviously it was a bit of a case of, one-upsmanship, it felt, between these two ladies to kick things off. But one thing I really enjoyed in the early stages was, that Naomi dive off the cage, I thought was a lot of fun. She did that splits onto Becky Lynch. But it was a really cool looking spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's we said this in the predictions that everyone had their roles to play, and this was Naomi's role to play, and this to be that star, like her and Tiffany were in there to be them ones that are the dare takers, risk it all and to do these crazy stunts. Yeah, it was a great spot. Just a shame that it's like I know Naomi's just come back from obviously the Rumble, and it's like. For me, it was like maybe there could have been someone else they could have put in his place, because I suppose it kind of works with a chamber match. She's a big name. It's just, I think her taking a loss in a match like this is just a bit too soon on the comeback, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, I understand that indeed. Well, especially she was the first eliminated as well there. But obviously,
exactly.
The person eliminated was third into the cage as well. And someone that seemed to be the most popular in Australia was Tiffany. It was Tiffany time, Tiffany Stratton. She was massively over in this. And she took quite a beating in this. I felt, to be honest, I'm going to say it nice and early, I thought Tiffany was the MVP of this entire chamber match.
Yeah, absolutely. She put on an absolute show. I mean, she's one of them people that, even though she is a heel, she is a massive fan favorite because, one, her character is so over and she delivers it perfectly. And it's one of the reasons why we're drawn to these people, that she's delivered this character just on point. It's just such a good representation. And two, she can deliver in the ring. She can do stuff like the perfect moonsault. It's just, do you know what I mean? It's just a great package all round, and you can see why she gets over so well as a heel in general.
She's like the full package, and I think a lot of people see it. And obviously, she's still new to the game. She's only been in like not wrestling for very long. NXT was a couple of years, and obviously, then you see that she's now come to the main roster. But very quickly, she's made her name for herself quite quickly by being in the Royal Rumble final 6 or 7. She was in that match as well. She's qualified for the Chamber. Obviously, WrestleMania is around the corner. She could be on three of WWE's biggest shows of the year in a quick succession of just coming to the main roster. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know if people in our chat agree with this, but a lot of people on the X, the socials, seem to think that could be a potential opponent for Bianca Belair if Jade Cargill was off the table. Of course, she's not been featured since the Royal Rumble, Jade, and she's not signed a contract anywhere, so we have to wait and see how it will go for WrestleMania season. But Liv Morgan was fourth out of the pods there to come into the Chamber. Did you think it was a fun spot with Tiffany? We're saying she's been taking quite a bit of punishment. The disarmer, when her arm was actually put through the cage area. I thought it was a fun looking spot there. Obviously, you can't get a decision on the floor out there at that point, but yeah, Tiffany's taking quite a few.
Yeah, because we do love it when they randomly like to change the rules on us with cage matches on where pinfalls and stuff. Like we literally had this debate when we did a review the other day about it. But always great to see people use creative spots like that. You're doing a disarmer through the cage wall. Do you know what I mean? You just got to have props to it. It's just what we expect when we get these kinds of matches that superstars think of other ways to deliver moves that we normally see in a 20x20 ring.
Absolutely, indeed. And obviously, we talked then about the moment here where I think this is where Naomi gets eliminated. Obviously, she does like a sunset. She jumps off the top of the pod, does like a sunset flip power bomb to Liv Morgan, and to that point, then she sort of falls into where she's just praying to be rolled up by Tiffany Stratton. Like I said, big surprise. She was actually eliminated first, perhaps that early as well into the chamber match. But hey, to be fair, Tiffany, so over with that crowd. To see that she got a pinfall victory in the chamber, just got a massive pop itself. So I think for that reason, it probably wasn't a bad move.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was just having a quick look at the current SmackDown women's roster, and there isn't that many people that I would actually say are probably a bigger heel than her at the minute. Like you have obviously Asuka, Io, but other than that, Charlotte Flair's obviously currently injured, so she's like top 3 heels at the minute on the SmackDown. So that's not a bad place to be when you're like from being on the show less than 2-3 weeks, already qualifying for Chamber. But yeah, it's just like I said, it's the way. I don't know. It's just I suppose it's a case of that she's hot at the minute, so it's kind of like Naomi's one of these people that can take pinfalls early, can lose matches first, I suppose, and putting over someone like Tiffany is just a great way to elevate her level.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, no, totally, indeed. But obviously, then we got, as we said, Raquel Rodriguez into the match there. Horrible with her condition, by the way. It does escape my brain what the condition is, but obviously that's why she's been away for 3 months with her skin. You could see it was affecting her a little bit. She didn't have the makeup as well coming, but the fact she was able to power through as she's been able to return, the fact she was able to be a part of this chamber, I thought was fantastic. So it's great to see her in ring action, and she was a good placement to be involved with the Elimination Chamber this year as well. Obviously, someone that could go for a Rhea or a Nia, because the last time she was around, those are the people she was feuding with. So it was great to see her back. But obviously, Bianca Belair was the last person to come into the chamber. That's when really things took off from this point onwards. Obviously, we saw that Tiffany Stratton doing a dive off the top of the sort of pod onto everyone that was sort of standing there. I thought it was a great high spot there for her. But of course, then once you do your big high spot, that's when you get eliminated shortly afterwards from the top rope, and Oblivion done from Liv Morgan there to get the pinfall victory on Tiffany Stratton. And there was a lot of double teaming done onto Raquel Rodriguez, although she did do a couple of Tahana bombs as well. Obviously, I think it was Becky Lynch that was actually done the sort of Scott Hall style of, have someone into the power slam position, you throw them over the top, the 4-way slam over the top rope for Becky Lynch going into the ring, which was a cool looking spot. But Raquel was next eliminated. She was victim to the KOD. From that point onwards, then we were down to the final 3, which of course was Bianca, Becky and Liv, and I thought they made them look quite equals up until that sort of final sort of few seconds, because, well, Belair, who looked very strong, seemed to be kicking out over everything, looked like she was the one that was going to be walking away the victor, the freshest of all of them. Liv Morgan again picking up a roll-up victory, which was great to see for Liv Morgan fans. But of course, then as soon as she turned around, she went straight into the manhandle slam, and Becky Lynch picking up the victory 1, 2, 3. And what were your thoughts for the remainder of the match?
Just a note on the dive from Liv off the top to Raquel, who's draped across the top rope, man. Scary bump, because I was like, I was shocked when I first see it happen, and I was like, oh my god, I think Liv's genuinely broken her tailbone doing that, because it was quite a shocking move to see the fact that Liv landed on her backside. But other than that, it's do you know what? I actually didn't mind the finish, just for the pure fact that Bianca can take pinfalls and not be affected. Whereas I think if Liv had been in the final, if she'd been eliminated third from last instead of Bianca, I think that would have been more detrimental, especially with Liv just coming back. I think Liv needed that big pinfall over Bianca just to keep some momentum going, even though the fact that she did lose this match. So I can respect that. And yeah, the finish is what the finish is. It was foretold, like we all knew this months ago, that the fact that Becky was going to be in the chamber for the first time, it's kind of just like one of those simply told stories that we knew she was going to win and go on to Mania. So predictable, but yeah, I enjoyed it a hell of a lot.
I thought it was, like I say, predictable, but I enjoyed the match overall. And Mike does bring up an interesting comment here. It says that the only issue was the finish at the end there. Perhaps maybe we could have given Becky and Liv 5 or 6 minutes there, kind of like that final two, kind of like that epic showdown like you'd have at the end of a Royal Rumble, for example. Like, I understand that sort of feeling, but I kind of liked the finish in a way, because it was like all those three baby faces were like top three baby faces. They were all presented as equals. It just happened to be that when one of them took the eye off the ball, that's when they got eliminated. It was a case of like almost it could have been any of the three rather than a definitive this person is the one that stands head and shoulders above the rest. So it keeps the others good for another day, if you will. It protects them in defeat in a way. That's where I kind of see it, where I don't have a problem with it, and I thought it was actually okay. But what are your thoughts of this?
You know, I can see where Mike's coming from. We kind of like how the Rumbles are done now, that the Rumbles get down to the final two, and then we have this sort of a semi wrestling match just between two people, which is, I can see why he's gone for that. I'd have been up for that, but I agree with you on this as well. I think that getting the quick pinfalls protects them all, because it's kind of just one of them things where it's taken advantage of certain situations, booking where we've just seen Liv pin Bianca. Liv stands up, takes a manhandle slam, and gets pinned. It's just one of them things. And like I said, I don't think this was a bad finish. I agree with you. I think that it actually protects them more the way they booked it. But like I said, I think the important thing was Liv that got the pinfall over Bianca, because it just keeps it strong.
Absolutely, I have to agree there. To give you final thoughts then of this chamber match, you ever give it like a star rating? We're going to try and be Meltzers here for a second. What would we give you this out of 5 stars?
I'm trying to like think of other chamber matches that have impressed me as much. I mean, it's probably up there as one of the better ones, although it is a predictable result. I'm going to say like maybe 3 3/4. I think it's, like I said, it is a good match. It's just predictable, unfortunately. I think if I could come back and watch this 15 years later, forgetting that Becky was the sort of the given to win this, I think I'd probably enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I can see your point of view with that. I'm actually still going to go with a 4, because I actually thought the match quality was really good, and like I say, I was actually happy with the finish. I thought that for me actually was how I would have preferred it, if you want. But at the same time, I thought everyone played their roles quite well. I think potentially there is some building, if you want, coming out of this. It depends if our hunches are correct. A Liv Morgan frustrated heel turn somewhere later down the line potentially could still do something with Raquel. There wasn't a falling out in that scenario. Will we get Bianca versus Tiffany? That remains to be seen as well. So there were some things that to take from it from this point onwards. And obviously, we've got some top baby faces, it seems, in WWE on the women's side there to try and go for championships. So all in all, I'm quite happy with it. So I will go with a 4. But we're going to go with some selected comments from our comment section, just because there's a few that are related to the match and a few that are not. We're going to try and come to all comments when it comes to those certain points in the show, if that's all right with everybody. But we've got Tino, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Says we all expected Becky to win. I get everyone wanting Liv to win, but I have to think what WWE is thinking, not what we want. Well, I mean, to be fair, I was actually rooting for Becky, to be fair, on this particular one. Maybe I was on a hill on my own, maybe, but obviously predicted way. But I just think Becky versus Rhea for me is the match that I want to see more. I do want to see Liv versus Rhea, but I didn't feel for me WrestleMania, like I saw in the comments somewhere up above, maybe like Backlash, maybe like Money in the Bank. Those feel like more appropriate times for me. Even SummerSlam.
I think when Liv is on the level of Becky Lynch in terms of we're not trying to discredit Liv, but obviously like Becky is just on a whole different level when it comes to global reach. Like for the fact that, do you know what I mean? She stood there with a broken nose, busted, bleeding, and it was kind of one of the most shocking moments in WWE, and made a T-shirt out of it. And she become this global star from pure accident, but it just raised her elevation to that much, and you can see why that they've gone with that match. It's just like Rhea being a massive star. She's going from Mania to Mania as champion. She's obviously destroyed everyone else in the locker, so it doesn't really leave a lot of people left for Rhea to face at Mania. So you can see why they've gone with it. But yeah, I think if they give it some time, Triple H can book Liv in a decent angle, decent story, just to elevate her a bit more. I don't know what he can do, or how he can go about it, but do you know what I mean? I have faith that she'll get her shot. You never know, maybe one time in the future she might get a Mania main event, but only time will tell with that one.
Only time will tell, indeed. And Temple actually believes that Rhea would actually win the match currently at WrestleMania Temple. I agree with you. I think that that is the reason why they could be doing the match as well. It's another way to get Rhea even more over by beating Becky Lynch on the biggest stage possible. Roger says, my friend went mad when Tiffany didn't win the chamber. He turned off Elimination Chamber, did not watch the rest of the PLE. Was your friend Australian by any chance, Roger? That's what we need to know in the comments right now. Quite fun to see that. Ray with a hot take here. Or is it? We'll have to wait and see what you've got to say about this one. WWE will not give Naomi a big push like TNA did and make her the face of the women's division like TNA did. Do you reckon that's a fair comment? Or do you reckon that maybe it's just the fact that Naomi's just returned, kind of the same thing? It's in that sort of season where most things are booked for WrestleMania, maybe a great opportunity will come for after Mania season.
My biggest worry is always going to be that the rosters are too big anyway. So I always worry whereabouts people are going to fit in. But if Triple H or whoever is doing creative have an idea for her, I'm sure they will pull it off. No problems. And I can 100% see her being a world champion again. Absolutely. I mean, just the fact to bring back that Glow Women's Championship again, I think is one of the reasons. But yeah, she has quality. She's shown it before that she's been like a world champion. She can do it. So it's just a case of now that I don't want to say like, well, it's probably going to be booked better than what the women's division has entirely been booked throughout its history. So, do you know what I mean? There's always positives going forward from this point.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have to see how it will go down. I like this shout here from Temple. He says, you know what I'd do? I'd have Naomi after her effort in the chamber, or lack of effort. There was effort in the chamber, Temple. Don't be that harsh. Is that we're getting Jay versus Jimmy at WrestleMania 40. Have Naomi help Jimmy win. New heel couple in WWE. I think that could be a fun way to go. And Naomi as well to be part of the bloodline. I think that wouldn't be a bad way to go.
That'd obviously. Be a good shout.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good shout indeed.
I prefer the dynamic of a power couple more than her being in the bloodline. I think the bloodline is just a too predictable storyline now. Like we've been saying it for 2 years now that she should be part of the bloodline, and I just think I'd like the idea of a power couple better.
Yeah, power couple certainly works for me as well. Though we do like that suggestion. Hopefully, she'll get her time in WWE. I guess time will tell if Naomi will be champion again. But like you say, hopefully we will get that. The beautiful bearded bastards in the house. The Triple B, ladies and gents. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. CD also in the house. This is a very predictable, good show. Thank you, CD, for checking this out. We do agree as well. Liv Morgan, back-to-back Royal Rumble winner, and now a runner-up in the chamber. Always the bridesmaid at this moment.
Back-to-back Rumble winner. You sure about that?
Did I say runner-up? Rumble winner? Runner-up. Runner-up. Not Cody.
What show you were watching?
It's the blonde, you see. I just get lost in the blondes. But Zane says, was it the greatest elimination chamber of all time? No.
Keep it short. Like I said, I think the predicting result was the downfall for me.
Absolutely, indeed. There, and you can't feel bad for Bronson CD. I'm not going to bring that comment up, but just because he's got a baby, that's fantastic news. But hopefully, get his chance to go against Seth at a different occasion. Surprised that Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair wasn't the final. I was as well. So we have to wait and see how it will go. But I think we should move on in the meantime, because we've got quite a few other matches to go through as well, including the tag team title match that was going on between the Judgment Day and, of course, we had the New Catch Republic. This match was quite a fun match. I'd say Dominik was ringside as well for a portion of it, getting a lot of heel heat from the Aussies as well, obviously trying to introduce the Judgment Day. And it felt like for a good portion of the match, the New Catch Republic could win those tag team titles at a couple of occasions where they looked like they were going to be strong. Obviously, the bitter end hit from Pete Dunne, where that's when Dominik put, I think it was Finn Balor's foot on the bottom rope. That led to, of course, Dominik Mysterio eventually being sent away from ringside. We saw as well the Tyler Drive 97 promotion that was done with the two guys on Bálor as well, and of course as well the new what was it? The Birmingham is
No. The Birmingham, because they're from Birmingham.
Exactly, yeah, the Birmingham. Yeah, I'm trying to say it like the Birmingham, but
Oh, right, sorry.
I didn't emphasize my ing enough there for you. But yeah, there's some new moves kicking in from them, but they didn't get the job done, unfortunately. There was in the end Damian Priest doing a double choke slam off the second rope, and of course Finn Balor hitting the coup de grace to retain the titles for the Judgment Day. 17 minutes this match went. It was just a lengthy match, but I actually thought it was good. I thought there was some good chemistry overall between these two teams. I think the New Catch Republic had a really good showing. I think it was a bit too soon to put the titles on them, but this leads to perhaps hopefully a bright future for them in WWE because of the fact that such a good showing. They're seasoned pros of what they do. They are almost perfectionists in the ring with what they do. Hopefully they can find themselves a spot on the WrestleMania card, whether it's a showcase tag team match or something. But for Judgment Day, it feels like it was the right result for me. Obviously, Awesome Truth. The running gag, of course, why R-Truth wasn't there. He was in Austria, not in Australia, which I did have a little bit of a chuckle over. I can't lie. But it's what it is. And I think that's looking to be the direction for WrestleMania in some format. We'll definitely get Awesome Truth versus Judgment Day. It's just if it's singles, if there's other teams involved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've just beat DRY and they've just beat obviously New Catch Republic. New Catch Republic, by the way, need matching gear as well because it's just one. It's an ick for me is tag teams that don't have matching ring gear, like color coordination, just does my brain in. But dude, fantastic match. It was kind of like you got to the point in the match where you're like, okay, yeah, they're gonna retain now, which sucked because it was like there's nothing more than I want than to see some new tag teams champion. But on the plus side, I'm hoping when it comes to creative that they're going to have some really good way that they lose these tag team titles now because it's like I said, beating DRY and New Catch Republic now, two great tag teams, and they still haven't lost these titles. Like I'm really hoping the way they do lose them is special. Like I hope they're building to something really good because I don't want it to be kind of like a throwaway where it's on like a SmackDown or a Raw, and it's a nothing match. You know what I mean? I really want them to build to this moment now because they've done well defending these titles, and like I don't know, maybe they've got to throw in a stipulation somewhere because obviously they kind of run along the lines of the bloodline where they have so many people just get involved and make sure that they retain these titles. But yeah, you never know, man. Like I said, hopefully they built something good. But the selling, by the way, by Bálor after the match with his thumb, like genuinely, I was like, oh my God, has he genuinely broken his thumb? But no, it's just Bálor being Bálor and just being an excellent seller.
Yeah, fantastic. So I thought it was a really good match. I really thought it was good fun. What would be your star rating for this match? I have a couple of questions.
For me, I'm gonna say a 4. I just think for me it was my match of the night. I just found it highly entertaining. Loads of great close falls. I mean, at one point I genuinely did think they were going to win the title, which is the point of the match. If you can convince me that they're going to win the title, it does it for me. But yeah, I say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to go with a 4-star.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I'm going to go for a 3.5 just because of the fact that I didn't believe that they were going to win the titles at any point, unfortunately. But I did think that the match itself, match quality, I thought was fantastic. Like I say, they're just showing themselves, Bate and Dunne, that they deserve to be in these positions in WWE, and hopefully they won't be strangers to PLEs for the rest of the 2024 year because they deserve to be on them. As for Bálor and Priest, like I was saying, it always feels like the Awesome Truth is the direction that I think they'll go for. The R-Truth storyline has been going for a long time now. Would you be against the Awesome Truth being the ones to defeat Judgment Day at WrestleMania?
No, I mean, I wasn't all up for this R-Truth storyline when it first started. I was kind of like, this feels like that you're just wasting the Judgment Day, but it swayed me, which is like the important thing. I'm now invested and I'm now enjoying it. I'd be well up for it because I think at some way you have to also get the Miz on the Mania card, and there's nothing for the Miz to do. So this kind of is a cool thing for him to do to reestablish a former tag team. I'm gonna thoroughly look forward to it if it is the match for Mania. So I'm all for it.
I have to see how it's going to play out, but would it be surprised if that happens? And I wouldn't be surprised if on WrestleMania, Damian Priest cashes in after he loses his tag team titles onto perhaps a world heavyweight champion. I have to wait and see. And let's go into the comments. In the meantime, CD says that the Catch Republic is a better tag team than the Brawling Brutes. Already 100%. Sold on the CD on this one, which is good to see.
There was one thing I forgot to mention, that in 2K24, Pete Dunne is still called Butch, and that really angers me. And I'm like, you need to update that game and get rid of that name from existence.
There's time for an update. Hopefully they will do that in the updates because they haven't got to do much else for Pete Dunne. I suppose he can still be dressed like a Peaky Blinder, but at the same time, once he's in ring, he wears the same gear as normal. So hopefully it will that change can be made there. Temple says, does Triple H ever miss when it comes to tag team? And not usually with tag team wrestling. He's pretty nailed on with what's going on. Taylor in the house, Taylor Svensson, whichever you want to go with. As she says, awesome truth for judgment at WrestleMania, so thinks the same as us, although thinks this was the worst match of the night. Not quite sure what Taylor was watching, but certainly hope that hope you enjoyed the rest of the show. That's all I'm going to say with that. CDC is glad that New Catch probably got their theme song of their team because now they look like a real tag team more. It is always good to have a combined tag team theme, although I must admit, I think that's going to take some time for me to grow on me, that theme. I'm not such a big fan of that just yet.
New Catch Republic. It's just it's very generic, like every other kind of tag team tune that's in there at the minute. Like it's exactly like DIYs. Let's be honest. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll grow on me as well. But like I said, for me, it's the color coordinated gear. If you're gonna wear ring gear, color match it. It's not that hard to do.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Zane's here says that it was a good tag team match up until the screen went black. Yeah, there was a moment where it did go black for a little while, for about 15 seconds, but
there was some audio as well, the dropouts, but that was apparently due to people saying naughty words. I think it was the crowd. I think that they had to cut it on the network for certain parts.
There was quite a few moments indeed. There's definitely my kind of crowd. Aussies, they were definitely going for it for sure.
You definitely tell they're distant relatives of ours, can't you?
Thing is when that sort of thing happens, you think that's why you're probably not going to get another show for about another 6 years. I felt the same when we were doing that Money in the Bank. I was like, guys, if you want this next year, I wouldn't but that's what it is, unfortunately. You know. Fans will be fans. You got to do it that way. But
well, I'll tell you what, dude, they're never going to be as bad as those AEW fans that All In last year. Because I'll tell you what, some of them fans, especially when Cash Wheeler was in the ring, tell you what, you didn't want to be in my section.
I mean, I heard it. That's all I would say. It was other end, but I heard it. We won't be repeating it now. But I have a way to split those unified tag team titles after the Miz and R-Truth win them. R-Truth makes a stupid decision and makes the belts get split. I mean, he could do such a thing, couldn't he, R-Truth? Because he would be that kind of guy. Why unify them when you could split them? He wouldn't mean.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that those types of belts need a redesign anyway. So I think that's just they've just got to do something to split them up. And they've, like I said, they've been putting on great tag team matches every week on every show. So they need to do more. They've got to split them up and make the tag team division more competitive again. And that's the only way to do it.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Let's move on in the meantime to the Grayson Waller effect. Obviously, Cody Rhodes and Seth Freaking Rollins were to appear on that in what was nearly a 30-minute segment, to be fair. It's quite a long, lengthy one, but obviously, Austin Theory was the hype guy to get Grayson Waller out. Obviously, was saying he wasn't a fan of some of the Aussie cuisines that he'd been trying, but he was a big fan of the Outback Steakhouse, the Aussie Outback Steakhouse, which didn't get a good reaction. Then when he introduced Grayson Waller, of course, who is Australian, got a nice, good reaction from the crowd. He was drinking out of a shoe with a UFC fighter at ringside. I'm not sure which UFC fighter it was because I don't really follow UFC that well, but hey, he was Australian. They were happy. It looked like people were having a good time. So props to them. But obviously, Grayson Waller came into the ring and probably gave one of my favorite lines of the entire night when he was introducing the guys out, introduced Seth out, got his big reaction, and then introduced Cody Rhodes. And the way he did so was have to feel sorry. Was it something like you have to feel sorry for the American educational system because this guy's got an inability to finish a story? I thought it was a great line when he came out. I'm paraphrasing it, but it was a brilliant line that came from Grayson Waller to introduce Cody Rhodes to the ring. But obviously, a lot of nothing, I have to be honest, was this segment for me because obviously Seth, one bit of detail we gave which was needed. He's a few days away from being cleared for in-ring action. That's great news. It's great that Seth will be medically cleared in time for WrestleMania. And Cody was kind of going to explain what was said between him and The Rock before, where Rock was going to take his place at WrestleMania before he didn't. Then we didn't get that because it was interrupted. But Cody did make a challenge out to The Rock one-on-one. He said he's free anytime between now and WrestleMania. One-on-one match with The Rock. That's what he wants. And then Seth reminded him that he's not got to do this alone and pretty much saying that basically both of them need taking down. And as we said earlier on here, is it like a one-on-one match? Is it a tag team match? I still feel with that Seth comment, I still feel that night one is the tag team match. I think that's what we're getting. But the tease and the idea of Cody versus The Rock certainly is a fun one as well. And I will entertain it for a couple of minutes. Would you like to see Cody Rhodes versus The Rock on night one of WrestleMania with Cody doing double duty on the weekend?
No, I'm invested in this tag team match now. That's kind of what I want to see, because early spoiler prediction, I think they're going to lose the tag team match, because it kind of builds the anticipation for both Seth and Cody going into night two. The fact that they've lost the tag team match in night one, so I'm all sold for it. I mean, I'd rather push Rock and Cody if they are going to do a match back to SummerSlam. I'm also invested in the fact that if by the looks of it, they're planning on doing Roman versus Rock at next year's Mania. So we're going to get some sort of year-long story in the build-up to that, which I'm kind of excited for, because how they're going to do it is going to be interesting, because Roman's never on telly. Rock's obviously never there. How you're going to sell that to people when the two participants are never there is going to be an interesting factor. So, but for me, I'm much more sold on the tag team match than I am seeing Rock versus Cody at night one.
Well, one thing I'll just say in reply to that is that if they're never there, it can't get stale. It's not like GM mode after about 4 weeks of putting people together. It's like, this feud's gone stale. So hopefully that's a good thing for it nonetheless. But we'll have to wait and see.
Go
on.
But then my problem is like, how do you sell a match when it's like they only show up once every 4 weeks? And it's kind of like, oh, here's good Rock and Code, here's Rock and Roman to build to this match. Okay, great. 4 weeks later. And it just gets to the point where people are like, I'm bored of seeing these two. Like, you either do the match or, do you know what I mean? Don't bother at all. Like, we might not even get a year build to it. It might be a case of something that's not done until maybe the Rumble next year that they start this build for this match. So it's going to be interesting to see.
It is just how the breakdown will happen when it happens. But I like what you said there. You could see them potentially winning that match on night one. I think the tag team match as well is the way it's going to go. I don't think we'll get the singles match with Cody and The Rock yet. I don't think, may not even get it at all, really. I'm still torn on the idea that I think that obviously the breakup may happen with Rock and Roman before we have to worry about a Cody versus Rock singles match. However, what I would say is that Cody potentially getting hurt on the tag team match on night one, then can he finish the story on night two, the adversity and all that sort of stuff? I think it kind of makes a lot of sense. But obviously to finish that segment off, Austin Theory, like I said, he interrupted. They started doing all the Rock's lines to Cody, saying, it doesn't matter if you smell and all the rest of it. Took the mic from Grayson Waller as well, which Grayson didn't take too kindly to, by the way. You could see the bit of a look there, like, dude, what are you doing? And obviously, Austin Theory did take a beat down for his trouble there from Cody and from Rollins. Grayson just watched it. He did nothing there. So obviously that was the end of the segment. But could that lead to Grayson versus Austin Theory at WrestleMania potentially?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I don't know. Like I said, I think this was very cleverly booked in terms of having Austin Theory out there as the guy that takes the beat down, because I think that was my worry. Was like, you're not going to have Cody and Seth come out, beat down the hometown hero, and then still be cheered for it. So very well booked. The fact that you told me that this segment alone is half hour long, and I'm sitting thinking, oh my God, yeah, Seth and Cody's entrances are about 15 minutes of that entirely. But yeah, Grayson Waller, fantastic promo work as usual, man. The guy is just absolute money when he's on the mic. Not too sure about doing a shoey though, because that just sounds absolutely grim to me. So I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I mean, this section was just what it was. I mean, but back to your original question, maybe Austin versus Grayson Waller, but it's kind of like, it's 2 nights. I'm not expecting to get maybe more than 5-6 matches on a card, and it's like, is Grayson Waller versus Theory really a Mania quality match that we want to see?
Not really. It's kind of like it's that undercard. If this was like I'm going to be old school for everybody. If this is like WrestleMania 18, it's like a 6-minute match on the card somewhere that's stuck in a filler moment. That's the best it could hope for. But it's hoping to build those new stars for the future, for future Manias. I'm trying to think WrestleMania 18 actually. I think it was actually Edge and Booker T was given that spot on that show, and obviously they both gone to do better things as time goes on. But yeah, obviously they're rising stars for the future, but. Yeah, it could be, like you say, if it's trimmed down, Triple H like smaller cards, it could be a bit tough for them both, and maybe it's just a one-off moment at this stage. But all in all, it was a long time. I think this could have been a lot shorter. So for me, it did drag a bit. It does help break apart the chamber matches nicely, but I think I would have preferred a short Grayson Waller effect. I don't know how effective it was, and I think I'd have preferred another match instead rather than this being so long. But hey, that's just me.
I reckon this is kind of this is the situation where they could have done with having SmackDown in Australia, and just, do you know what I mean? Doing the SmackDown in Australia and having this on the SmackDown and just having a fifth match. Because the fact, like I said at the start, we got a 3.5 hour show here, and I not even realizing this is half hour long is the part that gets me most. It's like, oh my god, you take this out, this is actually a reasonable length show.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that entirely there. But hey, it is what it is. But C Nation says he's happy that Seth is actually getting an advertised WrestleMania main event. It does look like at this moment, and also says actually woke up at 3 a.m. for this pay per view. Yeah, we understand. We know that feeling, but good for you that you actually did that as well. I'm actually anyone that did, power to them. Do you know what I mean? I like to see it. Do you know what I mean? Tina thinks we've got a Waller babyface incoming. Could we see Grayson Waller going to the babyface side?
Oh, I don't know. He's got that cocky arrogance about him that makes him a really good heel. So I don't know. Give it some time. It'll get over, but obviously he's not everyone's cup of tea at the minute. Character wise, it's kind of like you've got to be one of them people that doesn't mind seeing someone be a douche. Let's be honest. Yeah, he does come across as a bit of a douche, but I enjoy it. I think it's entertaining.
Absolutely. Roger wants to see WrestleMania go back to one night, Tyler being up to 2 nights. I still prefer the 2-night Mania format personally, just because of the fact I think they'll be like 8 hours long if they're one night. So that's my reasoning. I like the split in half. Are you 1 night or 2 night with Mania?
2 nights for me. Like I said, for me, it's got to be 2 nights for Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. They've got such a big roster now. I think it only makes sense that they make the big 4 these weekend spectacles. They can if they wanted to take the company forward, they can make massive weekend deals out of these 4 particular pay-per-views. Have the SmackDown, the 2 nights pay-per-view, and the Raw, just a big weekend thing every quarter of the year. That's where I think they should go. Like I said, they've got massive rosters as well. They've got to get everyone on the show.
They've got to find a way to do so in some format. For me, I'm still prefer it for Mania, maybe Rumble, but they were the 2 I would leave it at. But should The Rock be in the Hall of Fame in 2024? Asked Roger. Obviously, we still don't know anyone for the Hall of Fame this year. The fact The Rock is about makes me feel like it would be a good time to do it.
I think, like I said, if Vince was still in charge, he's not going in until he fully retires. So at this point, if Vince was in charge now, you'd be looking at 2026. He might be the headliner for next year. But then again, do you have your Hall of Fame headliner for next year losing in a potential match against Roman Reigns? I don't know. So at this point for me, I'm going to say 2026 at the earliest. As for this year, I think Ken Shamrock's going in this year, if I'm honest, because apparently he's on the game as a DLC character.
He is indeed. He has signed a Legends deal with WWE. Anyone that hasn't seen it, I will advertise it again. I do have my Hall of Fame predictions, and funnily enough, The Rock is on the thumbnail. So I'll leave that there for you. CD says Austin Theory has actually really fallen down the card. It's insane that he beat John Cena at WrestleMania 39. Certainly has, but he does find his moments still. Obviously, he was the 150 million click man, view man on obviously YouTube when The Rock made his return in September. This is going to be probably a high profile spot as well on this show because they talk about what could be WrestleMania main events as well. So they're finding places for Theory, but obviously, like you say, he's not beating the likes of John Cena at this particular moment. So it is a bit of a fall at this particular time. Tina asks a big question here. He says, would you guys drink out of a shoe? So my first question to Tina is, Tina, how much are you paying for me to do this if I'm going to be doing it? Probably not.
Unless it's a glass slipper and it's clean. No, I don't think so. I'm all right, thank you. Shoes are sweaty and horrible, man. Why would you want to drink a beer out of it? Ooh.
Not a chance for me. Not a chance. Would not do it at all. Certainly would not do it. And CD says, I'd rather see Austin Theory as a babyface. He needs it more than Waller. I personally prefer Theory as the babyface of the two because I think he needs the direction more than Waller at this particular time. But hey, there we are. CD reckons that Seth and Becky may go to SmackDown after WrestleMania 40. Fair to the play.
But I think they're going to be off.
Sorry?
I said I think they're going to take some time off after Mania, personally.
I'll have to wait and see what will happen with that one there. Eric Douglas in the house, hope we do well. Eric says thinks that Paul Heyman should be the headline. I think he will be in there. Certainly, he will be in there. Tina would actually pay $1 million. $1 million what? That's good to know as well. It all comes down to the currency, my friend. If it's dollars, we can start talking. But yeah. Anyway, we'll move on in the meantime.
No pass.
Yeah, we're getting a negotiation going on, but whilst in that case, someone that doesn't need any negotiation when it comes to WrestleMania because he won an Elimination Chamber match is Mr. Drew McIntyre. Obviously, our second chamber match of the night. This one here kicking off as well. The match which I was surprised about Drew kicking it off. He kicked off with LA Knight, obviously. I thought was quite fun also was the fact that going around the pods and stuff like Kevin Owens was just going mental, by the way, before this match even started, just shaking the cage, the camera going with it as well, smacking all the pods and stuff like that. I thought it was quite fun.
The bit where Logan goes up to him and he jumps him and hits the pod and Logan jumps back is great. I love this kind of stuff, man. I forget that they do this kind of stuff on Chamber. Like I said, you can see from my picture here. This here is a piece of internet gold here, like giving him a Sharpie. He's got a microphone and everything, and he's in there recording a TikTok video. This is great. And he's doodling on the side of his pod, Kevin Sucks. Absolute quality work, man. Like, I was watching a video earlier from Gorilla Position, and the guy on there said, Logan Paul might go down as one of the greats, you know. He might go down as one of the GOATs. And like, dude, he keeps doing stuff like this. I'm sold on the guy. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny, to be fair. The fact he did that, I think it was really fun. I've seen a few people have actually mimicked other things on social media put in its place. So, yeah, there was some fun memes going around with it. But one of my favourite spots early in the match, as I mentioned, Kevin Owens being a bit crazy. Drew McIntyre being thrown headfirst into the pods like numerous times, and Kevin Owens smacking the pod at the same time. I thought was a really, really unique spot.
Yeah, man, Kevin Owens is the GOAT, man. Like, he's so entertaining. Like, obviously, he'd just done this against, I think it was Logan's pod, and LA Knight just takes him over there and starts doing it. And KO's like, no, I'm going to make this more effective, and I'm going to start whacking it from the other side. I do. Just great stuff, man. Like, it's so entertaining, just these little things that they add to these matches.
Absolutely. It's a good thing because he's that entertaining because he was next in the match, entry number 3, and obviously he was followed then by Bobby Lashley, entry number 4. There was a lot of back and forwards with Lashley and McIntyre. Obviously been built on SmackDown, seen them sort of wrestling in the ring for the first time, I think, since like Survivor Series 21. I don't remember any matches since about 3 years ago with these two, so it's good to see them mix it up once again. But Randy Orton 5th into the match, and Randy was a pivotal part of this match in a weird way because he got hurt very quickly into it. He did a DDT onto the sort of like steel on the outside of the ring to Kevin Owens, of course, who had his feet sort of on the ropes. And Randy was selling his back for a very long time. I genuinely wondered with the way the commentary were doing it. I was actually sold that it could have been legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, it come across that way, but I think the problem was he literally did something like this last week on TV as well. I think he did the exact same thing, which was kind of why I was like, yeah, okay, maybe it's not all what it's meant to be. Plus, Michael Cole, unfortunately, just has that bad habit of constantly badgering on about it, which kind of then, for me, just goes, yeah, it's not a real injury. It's just Michael Cole selling the hell out of something that, unfortunately, isn't real.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Logan Paul was the last one to come in. Obviously, it was the famous Kevin Owens waiting for him when he come in. So obviously, they can have the beatdown in the pod as well. There, I thought that was really fun. Seeing all the beatdowns of that. But Lashley, goodness, he was the one to break this up, and you saw some of the big spots there, sort of throwing KO into a pod, spearing Logan Paul through a pod as well. There, the bulletproof glass was put into play there. Was mentioned just for you as well, NXT as well, which I know you're a big fan of hearing about the bulletproof glass. But of course, it was a bit of a formula with this match. I felt compared a bit different to the women's. Obviously, it was big spots then elimination, but this felt definitely your time came when you had a big momentum push in the match, and then you got eliminated because obviously Bobby Lashley did this, but he was hit with 2 claymores, and obviously the second one he'd actually, I think, knocked LA Knight sort of a bit lower with his bad arm, which he was selling from the injury on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre hitting another claymore, getting a 1-2-3 victory. So Lashley was the first one out, but then LA Knight looked like he was going to pick up a fall, but just as he was about to do so, and obviously Bobby Lashley going out of the chamber, AJ Styles had flown halfway across the world just to make sure LA Knight did not win this chamber match, hitting him with steel chair shots, and obviously with the Styles clash as well. Long way to travel, but obviously we thought we were getting LA Knight versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. CD pointed out quite nicely the other day that actually storylines were not looking that direction. We agreed with him that that it's not looking that direction. And obviously, it's not going that direction. LA Knight versus AJ Styles must be a WrestleMania match this year.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, but the only thing I can think logically from a kayfabe point of view is that obviously AJ wrestled in New Japan. So, you know, he's not wrestling on Australia. You know, I might just take a little trip to Japan, visit some of my old NJPW buddies, you know, and then realize, oh, wait, they're doing a show in Australia. I'll stop by there, give a wailing into LA Knight, and then carried on with the rest of my day. It was a very strange booking. Yeah, like we all sat there and thought that obviously Logan Paul, LA Knight was going to be the way, and this was the point where they build for this. And the only way I can possibly think is like it's a triple threat maybe, but yeah, like you said, it seems to be AJ Styles versus LA Knight at Mania, like two former TNA guys, just two former Impact guys. Do you know what I mean? In a spot at Mania seems kind of strange. With I don't know, like unless there's going to be something like I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they plan that one. Like it just seemed to come out of nowhere. Like obviously they've had stories the last couple of weeks or so, but hey, I'm all for it. Like I'm excited to see that if that's what they do. I just think we were all sold on the idea of LA Knight taking that US title for Logan Paul.
Looked like that was the idea we wanted, but obviously, like you say, it's been building since the Rumble time. Obviously, both have been cancelling each other out, trying to get revenge on the bloodline. AJ Styles versus a person, the fact he jumped in his spot in Fastlane. So I can see why this has been building for quite a while, and hopefully it leads to a good match of me. Like I say, two former Impact guys, TNA guys. So let's see where it comes down to. But as we go to the final four, Kevin Owens was the next one to be eliminated with an RKO. So that's when Randy finally got himself back into the match a little bit, and obviously picked up the fall. So Kevin Owens was taken out of this. So there was no actually, even though there was sort of stuff interacting with Logan Paul and KO, we didn't get a definitive answer, which means we could be getting Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Although there could be something that could alter that, because Logan Paul obviously was in the final three with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. And this was a point when the other two stars were down and Logan Paul was standing, that he thought, well, I've brought the brass knuckles all the way to Australia. I'm going to use them. He had this long shot where he just was putting them on, posing to the crowd, not realizing that Randy Orton had recovered, got up, and with one of the best bits of camera work of the entire night, actually hitting an RKO onto Logan Paul to taking him out of the match. I thought it was a really fun moment.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is sort of opened up the dynamics for possible things land at face. The fact that Logan Paul could have 2, 3, 4, 5 different opponents maybe for Mania, depending on if you look at Randy, KO, LA, AJ. That's a lot of guys for one guy to defend against. But yeah, like you said, great bit of like just great presentation, the way it's shot, and even the follow up afterwards is like the second best bit of, do you know what I mean, presentation, the way that it goes down. But yeah, just like a strange booking. Like wasn't expecting this to happen at all. Like even the numbering, like, and who was starting this match, I was very surprised that Logan Paul. Well, it got down to like the third entry in, and it was kind of like, okay, Paul's coming out last. You can kind of work that out now. Like I think we predicted that he was going to start the match.
We did.
So yeah, so it's just a very, very strange booked match, and it's good because we now have to tune into Raw and SmackDown to find out what their idea is for Logan Paul coming to Mania. So, hey, props off to him, man. Very clever booking.
It was indeed, and obviously to finish the match was just the same, because obviously at this point you saw Randy was sending the back quite a lot. Drew McIntyre felt like the favourite, even though the fact that he was someone that had been in the match from the very start. Randy Orton came in fifth, and obviously he was going to go for that Claymore, and obviously where Randy couldn't really get himself up, he was laid down. We saw Drew McIntyre standing there, and obviously they made mention on commentary how like Drew McIntyre's been in this position quite a bit recently, and obviously sometimes he sort of shown the vulnerable side, shown compassion, and it's cost him. And they said, we won't see that side now with Drew because he's not been doing that. However, you know, he picked Randy up, and Randy immediately hit him with an RKO. So it looked like that Randy was going to pick up the victory. And that was the point then when we saw Logan Paul actually still in the chamber, still had the brass knucks, clobber Randy Orton with those brass knucks. And Drew McIntyre, for the second time in a week, cheats to win. The guy that's turned heel because of all the cheating that's cost him now is benefiting each and every time. On Raw was through the bloodline, the people that he was not stopped screaming about in the first place, and now it's Logan Paul as well. And Drew McIntyre finds himself in the spot of WrestleMania. Yes, it's the most predictable, it's the most obvious, but do you know what? I thought this was a very creative finish. I quite liked it, and I actually now feel Randy Orton versus Logan Paul could be a direction for WrestleMania as well if they wanted to do close off the Logan Owens feud in the middle of WrestleMania between now and then, or they could even go down the triple threat avenue, or you mentioned throw LA Knight, AJ Styles in the mix, do a ladder match or something, get them all involved.
Oh, great shout! I love the sound of that. Hey, let's get something straight here. Drew McIntyre hasn't cheated at any point. He's just coincidentally been in a match that's unfortunately been disrupted by someone else who has beef with his opponent. Both times, like you said, bloodline. Drew's got nothing to do with that. It was just a coincidence. This match, hey, Logan coincidentally just happened to hit Randy with a set of brass knuckles. That wasn't Drew's fault, was it? So Drew's innocent in all this part, man. Don't try like swaying me on Drew McIntyre's a bad guy. He's all innocent in all this story, man. What are you talking about? But no, I'm the same as you. I loved it, man. I thought it was a great finish. Like I said, yeah, just it gives us reason to go and watch Raw and SmackDown now to find out what their ideas are and what they're planning for Mania.
I think NXT has turned heel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure that's just what's happened here. But you are right. Drew has benefited from something that he's not necessarily at fault of, but usually Drew would be the guy that would not accept that. But he's willingly taking these spots now, and it's to be fair, it's fantastic character development. Like you say, it's not actually technically anything to do with him, but the fact that he's sort of just saying soak it in, that benefits from it, actually speaks volumes of this character, of what we're seeing. And hopefully now, I think that this, the Drew character has been unbelievable in the last sort of 3 or 4 months. Drew has been one of the best things in WWE. He's now taken CM Punk's spot, because let's be fair, that's what this Elimination Chamber was. Anyone knew that once CM Punk hadn't won this, if Punk had not got injured, this was Punk's match to win. He was advertised for the show. He would have won the chamber. Probably Drew and Sammy had a feud going on. That's probably what the direction was going to be for those guys. And they've obviously split that up now. Sammy's going to go for a different direction, which I think will be Gunther, by the way. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have Seth versus Drew as this one-on-one match, which I think is going to be fantastic. Third time we're going to have it. And obviously the other 2 times, Compassion, Drew McIntyre in the first match. The second match, will Damian Priest trying to cash in. This time, I think we could get a conclusive match, although I wouldn't be surprised if Priest does try to cash in again at the end of this next one. But I'm fascinated to see, because Drew McIntyre, let's say, the heel heat is getting over massively, and I bet he wants to see him win the title. And we've said for a long time on this channel, we don't think he's going anywhere. I think that deal was signed a long time ago, agreed a long time ago. The character work, the championship programs he's been having, the fact he was actually put on the poster for Bash in Berlin like nearly 3 or 4 months ago. We've been saying for a long time, Drew ain't going nowhere. He's not going to AEW. He's sticking around WWE. That new deal must be on the table, because he would not be in this position going into WrestleMania. WWE wouldn't do it. They just would not do it. But at this point now, they've booked a small program for when CM Punk returns. Could be 6 to 8 months before he's back. So they must be confident Drew is sticking around. And I would love to see Drew win that title. Not just win that title, but win it and hold it until CM Punk is back. Because that's a money feud when Punk comes back into it with Drew being the champion. I took your spot. I took your glory. I took everything that you should have had. And I finally got it in front of fans for me.
All I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if come night 2, Drew versus Seth is the opening match, because it'll be the same as Bobby versus Drew the other year when they opened the show. If Seth and Drew open the show, 100% that title is absolutely changing hands, because it's always the way that they book it is do you know what I mean? Get the heel over early on in the night so you can have that babyface pop at the end of the night. But just on the words of Drew McIntyre, don't they say karma is a female dog? I think that's the correct word. So that's the correct terminology.
Along that line, I think so. Yeah, I do think so. Hold on. Yeah, maybe. Maybe word. But
it finally paid off.
But yeah, anyway, let's get your full ratings then with this Elimination Chamber. What would be your thoughts overall of the match, and obviously your star rating?
Again, great match, booked differently, like not how I was expecting it to go. AJ's certain surprise in there is always pleasant to see, and just the way it went down, I thought it was good. For me, great match as well. I'm going to put on the same as the women's chamber match. I'm going to say 3.75. Like I said, equally as good match. Just me, the tag team match was better.
Yeah, I mean, for me, all in all, I enjoyed this chamber match. Like I say, definitely booked to what I was expecting, but sometimes different is not always bad. I liked the directions they went. Obviously, the winner was obvious. And it was brought up as well from Leo in our prediction show, obviously saying that 5 SmackDown guys and Drew McIntyre. Drew is the guy that's had the program with Seth Rollins for the last few months. SmackDown's had no look-in. It would be starting completely afresh if someone SmackDown had won this match. And it felt like they all had problems in and amongst one another and stuff going on. So it always felt like it was going to be a Drew win. So for that thing, it always felt predictable. However, the match was fun. For me, it wasn't as good as the women's. I will say I felt that particularly the first half of the match didn't have as much to talk about. It was more when the eliminations kicked in that there was more going on. So for me, I'm going to go for like I suppose a 3.5. I think for this match, I think it was a good match. But not a great chamber match. I think it was good at best. But Drew McIntyre was the right winner. There was no debates, arguments there. It's the right match and the right way to go. So yeah, it's pretty fun. Let's go into the comments and see what everyone has got to say. And to be fair, there is quite a few comments that have come flying in, so let's try and go in there. CD actually reckons we're getting Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul at WrestleMania in the triple threat match. I think that was definitely it could be a potential after what we've just seen there. We've discussed already as well. Potentially could be a direction. Tina thinks that Logan was great in the pod, and also Eric here says AJ is so petty, flying around the world just to screw LA Knight. Yeah. Very petty indeed, but hopefully he's booked himself onto WrestleMania, so maybe that, not so bad after all for AJ in his career. Maybe CD feels bad for us. We have to wake up for every pay-per-view. It is pretty bad, to be fair, but I mean, for you, it's usually
I don't go to sleep.
That's usually the way, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a 2 a.m. start for me these days, so I find it harder than I used to when it comes to these, unfortunately. But let's go through some of the comments and see if we can find others. Alyssa didn't care for this pay-per-view. Alyssa, thank you for joining us, by the way. Says didn't care for it. Was very predictable. But sometimes predictable can work. Eric thinks that Logan Paul could be in a six-pack challenge. That could be a perfect solution to that. Certainly wouldn't be disagreeing with that. Ray here has said which was better, the men's or the women's chamber. I said the women's earlier on. If you give us the same rating for both, which one are we? If you have to
I'd probably have to say the women's. I just think that I probably did enjoy, like I said, that live spot alone was just one of the shocks of the night. I think that really sold me over. Plus, Tiffany had a great showing in it, and it was like I wasn't expecting Tiffany to have a good a showing as that. Like I was expecting it to be good, just not that good. So I think I was pleasantly more surprised by that. Whereas I know what the guys in the men's chamber are able to do. So I would go with the women's one.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that as well. The women's there. CD says AJ costing and that does make sense because LA cost AJ Styles his qualifying match. Absolutely, indeed, that is true when you go back to look at it. So that there is some heat there from that. And obviously, and this is one of my favorite comments in the entire show. Actually, by the way, CD, love this comment. Drew McIntyre's become the monster he once hated. That's a really good comment. I like that a lot there. And also, Seth Rollins will win the Elimination Chamber match next year. Just CD calling it now. Fair play. Will we ever see the Chosen One character back, says Roger? I think, Chosen One reminds us of Vince McMahon, so probably unlikely.
Yeah, probably not.
Unfortunately.
Well, no, unfortunately, but just, probably not.
Absolutely. Ray asking which show was better. Ray, I'm going to give you an answer you're not going to like it. I haven't had time to watch No Surrender yet, so
not yet,
spoiler free. Just about spoiler free.
Not enough hours in the week.
Unfortunately not. Hopefully in the next day or two, Ray might be able to help you out on that one. CD almost fell asleep during the main event, by the way. Don't blame you to that point, really. It's difficult. Yeah, we've done it many a time, so I wouldn't blame you for that. But let's talk about it as it's been mentioned, the main event match. Then obviously Rhea Ripley actually retains the Women's World Championship against Nia Jax. Obviously, this match was built what we expected. Obviously, Leo called it in the predictions. The built around can Rhea hit the Riptide. Obviously, Nia Jax going for a few big spots, making it not possible at the start. Putting Rhea Ripley for a table on the outside, which looked quite menacing, to be fair. Obviously, all the monsters were still on the table, obviously going through the table as well afterwards, after that Samoan job that was put onto it originally. It was the Annihilator, is Rhea's new move. The Bonsai job as well was done in the ring inside, and Rhea managed to kick out at the 2 count. Obviously, she went for it a second time, and I believe that's when it was missed. Rhea made a comeback with a superplex, and then hitting the Riptide for the victory. For me, this was the right main event for this show, I would say, because obviously Rhea Ripley, the Australian, obviously one of the biggest stars in WWE, so it was right to have a main event this show. And I think that Nia has been actually the perfect foe in the build for this. I actually thought the match was better than I expected it to be. And all in all, I just think this was, I'm not going to say it was a 5-star classic because I don't think it was, but I think this was everything it needed to be, and it ticked all the boxes and just got job to both all round.
Yeah, I think for me, the under-delivered in terms of what a main event, well, what I thought the main event would be. Like, this is Rhea Ripley wrestling in front of her home crowd, which is not, obviously she doesn't do this at all, being like from the other side of the planet. So I was expecting them to go out with a big bang, like in the predictions. I predicted like if she did do the riptide off the middle rope or the top rope, that they were going to do like the ring exploding kind of angle. I thought like it would have been a cool way to just finish the show, had the crowd go, you know what I mean, chanting it like holy yes, and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of like, I don't know, I think I probably built this up too much in my own head. Like, it was the right match to have as the main event. I just think it was underwhelming for me. Like, it was still a good match, just underwhelming for me.
It's fair enough there. Obviously, I think this match was fine, to be fair. Obviously, when you've had those two Elimination Chamber matches, sometimes you feel a little bit of burnout afterwards as well, because even if they're predictable, they're long, lengthy matches. And obviously, there wasn't much of a, believe it or not, too much of a break actually between the Chamber match and this match. Obviously, we did have Triple H announce the attendance, but that was about it. But all in all, I thought it was a fine match. What would be your star rating for
it? For me, I'll say a 3. I think it was okay. Like I said, I don't really want to critique it just for me being underwhelmed. Like I said, I thought it was good. Nia's done really well since her return. She's been built up really well as this kind of monster heel. It was the right person to have in this spot to take the loss. Again, with obviously the crowd dynamic changing, where having Rhea as the face and Nia as just having Rhea as a face in general, it was the right thing to do. So yeah, I'm going to say a 3.
Yeah, I think a 3 is the right one for this one as well. And obviously, Rhea Ripley celebrating with her family to close off the show as well, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, it leads to the direction we've already talked about it because of the first match, really. Obviously, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, obviously, the direction for WrestleMania. Tempo, I believe, mentioned in the comments there, suggesting Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill could be a direction. I could see that being a likely direction as well. Obviously, both ladies can go on to do different things, but I would imagine one thing for sure, we'll get a rematch with Becky Lynch and Nia Jax on the road to WrestleMania, which I think Becky will get her win back over Nia Jax, so then actually build her up to be ready for Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, absolutely. She needs to overcome that, especially like against early spoilers for me. That I'm going to say the same. I think Rhea retains at Mania, and I think if having Becky not win at Mania, and depending on like if she's going to take time off, because obviously she's got this book out and she's meant to be promoting it and all this kind of stuff. So I imagine she would need to get her win back over Nia.
Yeah, I think she'll get a win back over Nia for sure as well, and could be a good way to go to now and Mania. CD says this match was boring. He wasn't a fan of this match. Fair enough. To be fair, if you're tired as well, it makes it harder to watch as well. I've been there many a times, so hopefully, if there's a second watch, hopefully CD may feel the same with us on the second watch. Maybe. Do we think that Nia Jax has been a better wrestler since she returned? Arsene.
I would like to say that she's been presented better. I don't think her in-ring ability has necessarily changed. I think it's just the fact that she's being presented as a more aggressive character and has more aggressive traits and is acting like a monster heel, which is what she's supposed to be. I think that's why I feel she's done better the second time round.
Absolutely, yeah. I do feel she's done better. I think the presentation has been a lot better. And I think that, to be fair, I do think the performances have been better this time around. I would say that I think this is actually one of the better Nia Jax matches out there. But obviously, I think the match with Becky Lynch as well at the start of the year was a good match as well. We're going to
I'm trying to remember her Mania match where she won the title, and I can't remember if that was any good or not.
Alexa Bliss, WrestleMania 34. Not a bad match. It was I know that was actually highly praised for its story at the time. Obviously, with the body and storyline that they were doing at the time with it. But Ray asks, and this comes from early in the stream, just going back with a couple of old comments now. Says, are you looking forward to playing as Rhea Ripley 2017 version, Mae Young Classic version in WWE 2K24?
No, I'll just go and buy 2K17 and play as Rhea Ripley from back then. I'm more excited at the fact that you can unlock an action figure version of Cody Rhodes, because I think that's great. I think that's quality. That's proper video game material.
That is going to be interesting to do that. I think it's fun having that idea there of Rhea Ripley like that, and obviously it sees how she's evolved as a character and stuff like that. It should be fun, but obviously
I think
Rhea didn't last so long as the Mae Young look. She changed quite early into the NXT UK times.
Yeah, and I think like she's got an alternative attire from her white gear during her match with Charlotte at Mania for the NXT title.
Indeed, yes, WrestleMania 36. The show had no fans in attendance. And speaking of no fans in attendance, Temple with a comment from anyone said, this new Drew McIntyre, we're getting his money. His Twitter game is hilarious. I think he'll go to beat Rollins and win the world title with fans in attendance. So there we go there from Temple.
His tweet of LA Knight hugging a koala, and he's got like something like koalas spread some sort of STD. I thought was hilarious. I thought that was great.
It's quite funny. Nia Jax as a babyface with Raw Women's Champion felt odd, says CD. And Zane with our final comment, are you going to be buying Becky's book?
I actually will, I think it's going to be worth a read. Like, I'm interested. Like, I'm getting to that age, Steve, where I actually enjoy reading books, man. Like, 20 years ago, I'm like, I'll wait till the film comes out. You know what I mean?
If there was a film for this, I think I'd wait for it. Unfortunately, I don't
audiobook, actually. I think there's an audiobook.
That's good. That'd be more up my street. For me, really, I think it's not an instant buy for me, purely because time and life is just no. I've not got time to watch No Surrender. I've not got time to read Becky's book, unfortunately. So it's that's for me gonna have to wait to a later date. But hey, it will be there for when I'm ready. So that's always a good thing.
Like I said, audiobook. When I take the dog for a walk, that'll be my go-to. Because normally I listen to podcasts. So like I said, an audiobook when I take the dog for a walk is a good idea.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea indeed there. CD says, great stream. Thank you, CD. We have one question I asked NXT before we close things off completely. So, used to watch films, we had to read a book for school to make it easier. I did the same thing, to be fair. Used to find it quite helpful. Obviously, the film can go in a bit different direction what the book meant to, but certainly just gives you, I like having the picture of it. And if you can't always see it in the book, it can be helpful. So, not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's when they change the ending and you get to the presentation and they're like, that doesn't happen in the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you mean, yeah. I'm not going to go with a stupid idea, but you can
Hollywood screwing you over in school.
Absolutely indeed. There. And before we close it off, then your rating for this show out of 10?
I'm gonna say a 6. I think it's an okay pay-per-view. It's too long. It's predictable. I'm going to say a 6 out of 10 for me. But otherwise, I did enjoy it, though.
Yeah, I would enjoy it as well. I think 6 is bang on the money. I think if this cut the filler out, then I think that this is probably a 7.5 show, particularly with the crowd as well, hot as well. Really enjoyed just, seeing that. I thought the stadium presentation was lovely, seeing it in the daytime. Then obviously went transition to nighttime as well. It was a beautiful looking setting. I'm a bit of a sucker for that with shows. But all in all, like you said, it's predictable. It dragged in places, but overall the wrestling was good. So yeah, the wrestling is a thumb up for me, but 6 out of 10 is the way.
And when we go to review this in like 10 years time or 15 years time, whenever we go to do that, and the network cuts out all the advertisements for Australia and makes it a much more enjoyable, shorter show, I'm sure I'll rate it higher.
I'm pretty sure I'll probably do the same as well. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it'll be on Netflix at that point, or maybe it was somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see when it comes along to that. Roger, thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate it indeed there. Look after yourselves and each other. And if you enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button. It helps this channel more than you'll ever realize. Obviously, if you are new, or the ones that I watching now, I know are regulars, but if you are new and you've made it this far on delay as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Keep up to date with all the content on this channel, because we're on the road to WrestleMania now, and I can tell you it's gonna get busy. It's going to get very busy on this channel over the next sort of 6 weeks or so. So make sure you are glued to this channel. We're going to try and get as many videos to you as possible. And our next time will be live, and Steve and I will be here on Tuesday for the 10-year anniversary of NXT Arrival. That's going to be a rewind that we're going to do on Tuesday for you. And of course, you all voted WrestleMania 20, you controversial bunch. We will be doing that in the middle of March. So you got that to look forward to as well. Yes, we will be talking about that in all its detail. The WrestleMania that WWE wants you to forget. Hey, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. NXT, thank you for being a part of this. As always, it was great to have you on board. Look after yourselves and each other. And if you want to see more videos in the meantime, obviously this channel has got stacks of them. Go to the video library, including my predictions for the WWE Hall of Fame 2024. That is there now. And it's actually on 1.8 thousand views. So make sure to get that to 2 for me if you can. That would be awesome. Would really be happy with that. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. We'll see you for the next video.